Yeah.
That's like a fraction of your personality.
Yeah.
Please sign in.
Say are going to kind of pick up and be similar to what Les has talked about. We're focusing on making sure that we can help people become ready, willing, and able to purchase a new home. And that's basically when we are rating prospects, whether they're an A or B or a C, it's determined on how ready, willing, or able are they. I've been in the industry, as explained, 25 years, and I've used many different sales techniques, and these are kind of what has worked best for me. In the people in the room, I'm going to ask you a question. Are there any new home salespeople here? People that sell new homes full-time? Okay, so I'm going to be giving a presentation that is pretty geared towards new home salespeople. But if you sell other things, okay, how about if anybody sell other things? I know Debbie and you guys sell, okay. So we have salespeople in the room, great. Do we have any sales managers, people that manage salespeople? Thank you. Do we have any builders, owners? Okay, so you're selling in a way, and you may have salespeople that work for you, so this is going to be, and I asked associate salesperson, that basically means people that sell other things. And then I guess there may be a couple people that do something completely different, but nevertheless, I hope that you enjoy this. This is great information. If you're a new home sales person, helping people with the most expensive thing that they will ever purchase, a new home, is a privilege, is a real privilege. And if you come from that attitude, it's going to be interesting for you and fun, and it's going to be passionate for you. I don't know if anybody's ever heard this statement: the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different results. So if we learn to do things differently, we're going to get different results. I don't know if anybody's ever read this statement, and you might when you see the next slide, but whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. So our opportunity as a salesperson is to be able to help our folks become ready, willing, and able. And the better of a salesperson that we are is going to then produce more A and B prospects for us. You have the power. You're actually in control. You can take a C and turn them into an A. The next slide is something that has been near and dear to my heart, and I'm going to ask you to raise your hand if you've ever read or ever heard of these different books and sales training programs. Some of them are more life-oriented things. Does anybody ever hear about The Secret? Yeah, great. She also has another book, CD, Power. She also has Hero. I listen to these on my radio, on my CD player in the car as I drive, because I drive a lot. Incredibly inspirational. So regardless of what kind of field you're in sales, these are the kind of thoughts that you can have that make you so successful. Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. That's where whatever the mind can conceive and believe, you can then achieve. He has a couple other things. One of the first guys that ever created the psychology of selling. Attitudes that Attract Success. Anybody ever see that one? Yeah. Great one too. Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Zig Ziglar. Anybody ever read Zig Ziglar? Brian Tracy, Psychology of Selling. Jeff Shore. Anybody read any Jeff Shore? A couple of my things in here are from Jeff. Nikki Joy, another famous sales trainer. Myers Barnes. Anybody read anything by him? Another famous new home sales training person. Does anybody know who that is? What's his name? Who is it? Anybody?
Carrot Top.
It's Malcolm Gladwell. Very great. He's written Blank, Outliers, The Tipping Point. All these books are incredibly interesting and help us professionally. The sales process, as many of you may know, if you've taken Certified New Home Sales Professional Training, there's a format. We have a greeting. We then develop rapport. We uncover their needs and we qualify. We demonstrate. We overcome objections. We close, and then we follow up. Pretty much that's what we do in new home sales. We always kind of follow this format. I need somebody to volunteer from the audience, and I need you to be able to, either on a watch or on a phone, come up and stand here for a minute and let me time something. Can I have a volunteer?
Sure, John.
Come on, somebody. Do you have a second hand on your watch?
I absolutely do.
Okay.
Wow.
So we're gonna, when you get to a point, we're gonna count for 7 seconds. Ready?
Go.
Go.
Here we are.
Okay, thank you very much. That was easy, wasn't it?
Very.
7 seconds.
Research show that people determine if they like somebody within 7 seconds of the first time that they
So what'd
meet
you
them.
think, Wendy?
I like them. Nice smile.
And you didn't
great
even have to
body.
talk.
Yeah, you didn't have to talk. I should have asked some questions.
Holy
But this is when it comes to greeting, when your folks come in and you meet them for the first time, you really have 7 seconds. And they're either going to like you or they're not going to like you. So you need to have energy and have interesting character. I could tell he had energy because he walked quickly. He had a smile on his face. And you could just tell he was an interesting character. And likable. And that's probably the most important thing in those first 7 seconds. Because there's a halo effect. Once somebody likes you, it's very hard to destroy that. Even if you do something that they don't like, they still like you. So when you have that likability factor, it goes a long way. The thing also is that in new home sales, we need to mentally prepare. We need to visualize. Athletes do this all the time. I know Jason runs marathons, and I'm sure before he runs that race, he says to himself, I'm going to do it in X number of time. I'm not going to get tired. I'm going to, make this a success. So when you visualize and you see yourself doing it that way, it comes out that way. Right?
Right.
You need to be ready and engaged. Even though you may have stresses in your life and other things going, be ready for that prospect and be ready to be engaged. And decide ahead of time, yeah, this person's going to buy. If you think it, it'll happen. Clear your mind, like I said, if you have stresses or other things, you want to just kind of clear your mind and know that the customer's coming in and you're going to focus on them. Take a deep breath. Plan your opening statement. When I sold new homes on site, I would come up with different things as the greeting, as the person first walks in. I would come up with different things, even to keep myself from getting bored. So plan your opening statement of what you're going to say when somebody comes in. Smile in advance. And say something before they come in to kind of fire yourself up. It's showtime, or from a positivity standpoint. And then this is an interesting thing. Commit to remember the customer's name. And I say use it or lose it. So if you use that customer's name 3 times, you will remember it. So if Layla comes in and I say, oh, hi, it's a great day outside, isn't it? So how'd you find us? Or whatever question. And she said, and I'm Wendy, and she tells me her name is Layla. About a couple minutes after that, I'm going to say, so Layla. And so then we're going to talk more, and I'm going to say, so Layla, what do you... So the more you use it, then it's going to imprint. You can also associate. That's a whole other seminar on how to remember people's names.
Association.
That's what I gotta go to.
Yeah, that's a good one. Developing rapport. It's all about your attitude, your motivation, where your heart is, being on the move, having energy. People like to be around energetic people, and they'll actually follow you because you're a source, and they want to come with you. Your facial posture, if you smile and you have a nice way about you, your gratitude, your gratefulness to be there and actually have the opportunity to help them with the biggest purchase they'll ever make in their lives, that comes through. You want to build relationship statements, and it's actually more about them than it is you. And you want to find things in common, and you want to let them tell their story. So uncovering needs, this is something within Ryan Homes that we were expertly trained on, and it's called the need behind the need. Somebody comes in and they say, I want 5 bedrooms. Oh, that's nice, you want 5 bedrooms. Well, why? Tell me more about that. Why is that? And then you get to know them, and you get to cover the underside. Oh, well, I have 3 kids, and my mother lives with me, and so that you're getting to know them, so then you're identifying really what their needs are. And you're asking, if they just tell you something, you're asking more. Tell me more about that. So you're trying to find the underlying. And we're always, what, where, who, when, how, all those questions. And the more questions you ask, the more successful you're going to be with that prospect. And it's the better way to uncover things that they may not be comfortable with as well when you're asking a lot of questions. and they're doing a lot of talking, they're more likely to give you things that you didn't even ask. So you start to know, what blood type they are, and, how many marriages they've had, and, many more things as well. So, and that gives you leverage in the future. It's real important. Persuasive listening is actually, is listening with intent to understand them, not just listening to their words, but with the intent behind to understand what do they mean when they say that, and what else is behind that. So you want to listen very carefully, don't jump to conclusions. You want to respect the other person's opinion, even though, you may be a Democrat, they're a Republican, You want to control your own emotions. You may not like what they're saying, but it's not really about you, it's about them. And the other thing you can do to really make sure that you're listening is to repeat to yourself what they've said, then say it out loud, and then ask if that's correct. Okay, so you're telling me you want 5 bedrooms because you have this mother who lives with you and your children, and it's really important that you have space. Is that right? So you're getting that affirmation then they feel heard. They want to be heard and acknowledge their feelings. Most people do not listen with the intent to understand, they listen with the intent to respond. So most of the time when we're listening, we're just thinking in our minds, what are we going to say next? When it's not really about that. We're trying to get underneath. During this time, salesperson, we should only be doing about 25% of the talking. We're asking questions and we're listening, really listening. So this is how we uncover their needs and find out what's important to them. The other thing I wanted to touch on, and I'm not going to read all of this, but this is an amazing sales program. It's called Personality Selling. I have personally used this. There are 4 groups in the world from a personality standpoint: bulls, owls, lambs, and tigers. Has anybody ever read it or heard it, taken the class? Unbelievably awesome. It helps us alter our approach according to their personality type. And everybody in this room is dominantly one of these animals. So, Debbie's a tiger. Yeah, I know her well enough. And let me think.
There's no tiger up there, Wendy.
It is.
Oh, at the bottom.
Yes. And it's based on how emotional somebody is versus analytical, how assertive versus passive. And it's just it's on a chart. It's really unbelievably fun, and it really brings a lot of success. Demonstration, showing folks how this new home will make life better for them. And Les kind of touched on this a little bit. I may have some repetitive things here. The important thing is showing your prospect what will emotionally motivate them. These are the top things. Everybody loves something for free. So in negotiations, if that's what motivates them and they love things for free, we're keeping that in mind. As we're actually demonstrating, we're keeping that. Remember, this is that 5,000 and free options, and look what, so you're bringing back, if you've determined that that is a motivator for them, when you're demonstrating, you're going back to what they emotionally want and what their needs are, and you're matching it. Connecting with others, socialization, friendship, better marriage and life for their kids, their parents, and their family. If you have discovered that this is important to them, when you're demonstrating the kitchen, you're saying, won't your kids love this? Or won't your neighbors have such a nice time in this kitchen when you have a party here? If that's their motivation, when we're demonstrating, we're using those emotional connectors. Making dreams come true. For some people, it's about status, it's about exclusivity, it's about being cool, it's about, potentially it could be about ease, convenience, less stress. Again, we've discovered what was important to them when we were uncovering their needs. Now when we're demonstrating, the difference is we're showing the kitchen and, wow, look how cool these appliances are. Your friends will be really impressed with this. And or if it's about ease, look how convenient, how quick. You only be in the kitchen for 10 minutes when you have a kitchen like this. So you're adjusting your demonstration to what they've just told you their needs are. Fear of loss. Les actually touched on this a little bit. The fear of loss is the greatest motivator. We use this at Ryan Homes every day of our lives. People don't want to miss out. Interest rates are going to go up. You don't want to not buy when you may miss that interest rate. This home site, there's only one of them, just like this. You don't want to miss out. This incentive, there's only one. You don't want to miss out. Fear of loss is an incredible motivator. What is USP? Les told you. What is it? What's the USP? Unique selling proposition. Yep. You can focus on that during your demonstration, as Les was awesome. He also touched on this, explaining features and benefits. This is the difference. What does WIFM mean?
What's in it for me?
What's in it for me? Because it's not about you. It's about them. It's all about them. What's in it for me? So why that feature benefits them? Why those stainless appliances benefit them? Why that big shower in the master bath benefits them? Why that big yard or that home site with the view? And now you know what's important to them. So when you're demonstrating, you're talking about the benefit to their lives, how this is going to make their life better. Demonstration, it's about a 50-50. You're doing about half the talking now. Before you're only doing about 25, now you're doing about half. Because you want to demonstrate, ask questions. I'll show you. Overcoming objections. This means it's a really good thing. When buyers have objections, we're happy. Because an indifferent buyer is, we can't get anything from an indifferent buyer. If they're not talking to us, how can we help them? So objections are fabulous. We're happy with objections. We have 3 basic different kinds of objections, misunderstandings. So what we basically do is we're asking questions. Okay, so tell me more about that. Why does that concern you? Why is that important? What are you worried about? Explain that to me. And so you're getting them to talk. And then many times it's actually, they just don't understand. They don't have the right perception. And this is our opportunity to actually clear it up. Skepticism, this is when they don't believe you. Well, how could you have a 10-year tax abatement? And then you say, well, have you ever heard of a 10-year tax abatement? And they say yes or no. And so you're asking questions to get to the bottom of why they have questions. And then you can actually provide proof for them to overcome the skepticism or what they're worried about. Drawbacks. There's going to be drawbacks. Nothing's perfect in life. I used to want to do a seminar when I was younger, how selling new homes is like trying to catch a man, because it's exactly the same process. The first impression, the communication back and forth. I'm too old to do that now, but the truth is there's not one perfect man out there. There's always a drawback. Nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect.
I don't get it.
So acknowledge the downside and emphasize the upside. So that's the gist there, and that we do that in relationships as well. So yes, your property, your community, your home, it may not be perfect, but we can make the good outweigh the bad. And that's basically what we focus on here. You don't control the sales process by talking, you control it by asking questions and listening. That's how we sell. And in the end, nobody's going to buy because you've said something. They're only going to buy because they've said something. They don't believe it unless they say it themselves. We can't tell them. This is their life. This is their process. We can only lead them through questions and listening. During the overcoming objections, we're at about 50-50. We're asking questions, they're answering, they're communicating, and then we're responding and supporting what we have to offer. Closing during this time, actually, and closing, when we get to closing, and in reality, we're kind of closing all the way through. As we're demonstrating that kitchen and we say, won't your family love this kitchen? We're waiting, and she's either going to say yes or no. So that's awesome. And so then we're building, isn't your husband going to love this big master bath shower because of, what's the benefit for him because of, and we've determined that before. So we're doing mini closings all the way. So since we're closing constantly, the end close ain't no big thing. They've followed the process with us. Of course they're going to buy. They've loved everything about it, and it's perfect for them. A natural evolution of things that were so important. Creating urgency. This is that fear of loss, that price or location, that one of a kind, the financing, the construction schedule. We're really creating that for them. Remember what emotionally drove them. What was important to them. What was it that made them want to? These are just examples of closes. Plans. So this floor plan's perfect for you, isn't it? Open-ended also helps. In this situation, we've gotten to the point where we know that they're going to say yes. We're not asking questions where we think they're going to say no. We know this plan is perfect for them. This home site looks perfect for you, right? Assumption. This is just assuming they've come with us this whole time. They love everything, and we just assume. So so now what we're going to do is I'm going to give you the paperwork. We're going to go through it, and you're going to do this. And how's that sound? So it's the assumption. Process is similar to an assumption, it's just that they like the process and they've enjoyed the process. The vocation is a potential close. The social is a potential close. This clubhouse community is perfect. You're going to make lots of friends. This is right for you, right? Ease close, the convenience, the ease of life for them. The status. I have a 24-year-old son that the status close will work on all the time. Your friends would really be impressed. You're the shit, aren't you? And he would go for it. That's his motivator. His status. Family. A lot of people put their family above. This works with a lot of women. That their family is so important. It's all about their family and anything relative to that. And if they feel it's going to make their life better for their family, they will do it. And fear of loss close. So that's basically it. I tried to do it in 20 minutes. Oh, one more thing, follow-up. Forgot this. Prepare for seller follow-up. Take useful and interesting notes. So it's as much detail as you can, and you write it down so that when you get back to them, oh, you're the one that works at the zoo. Oh, and you have triplets. And so there's that connector, and they feel like you really know them and listen to them. Another thing is don't know all the answers. It's a great reason to get back to them. Oh, you know what? Let me check with my construction manager. Let me see if we can do that for you. I'm going to give you a call. I'm going to see him Monday at 3. I'm going to give you a call Monday night. Is 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock better for you? So now you've already got the next step. They know you're going to call, so you've prepared them for that. Determine a follow-up start. They've left. Now you know you're going to call them back. They've said, yeah, call me at 6. And then from there, you're actually planning what else are you going to do. What's the next step to keep them in the fold? You're always going to send a thank you card. We have email now. We always send emails. There's always reasons to call. And lastly, you're going to call that customer and follow up with them until they either buy or they die. They either buy from you, somewhere else, or they die. So I think that's it. Any questions? I know it's a lot. Oh, I have a list. If anybody wants the PowerPoint.
I was going to say, why don't you just email it to me? We should have their email addresses. If
Yeah.
anybody wants, I'll just have it emailed out to them.
Yeah, or we can, if you want this PowerPoint, we can do that as well. So next is Jason, who's actually going to show you how to have people become more able.
If anybody's shown up recently, please make sure you sign in the back. Even those people from Caliber Home Loans.
Good morning, guys. Good afternoon, good day. Give yourselves a round of applause. Everyone, I see you. Give yourselves a round of applause. The reason I say that is because you guys are all very successful. And you're here working today to become more successful. So everything that you do in every process of your job, whether you're building a home, getting financing for the home, and it'll make your ears bleed if I try to explain it to you. But in essence, if you want to go through it, there's something called the FICO pie. Okay? And this is basically how the credit system works. 35% of your credit score is based upon your payment history. Easier said than done, right? Just pay on time and there won't be a problem. As long as you pay all your bills when they're due, you're going to have a good credit score. At least 35% of your credit score is going to be good. All right? Now, you've seen the late pay 0 to 30, 30 to 60, 60 to 90. A lot of people get confused. I haven't seen it done very often, but if you pay 1 day late, you're late payment. So it's not 30 days late, 60 days late, 90 days late. It's 1 to 30, 31 to 60, 61 to 90. I saw a loan servicer maybe on a credit report a few years ago that actually reported someone late for paying their bill a couple days late. Most people don't abide by that 1 to 30, but it's an important thing to realize because if you get a late payment, your score is going to drop. So you want to make sure that bills are always paid on time. 30% of your credit score is your revolving debt ratios. Okay, there's a lot of things that go into this, but in essence, don't max out your credit cards. If you have a low balance, compared to your credit limits, you're going to have a better score than if you're somewhat maxed out on your cards. This is a cumulative formula. It's based upon all of your credit cards, not one at a time. So I always tell people, get as many credit cards as you want and can be responsible for. even if you don't use them necessarily. Because the more credit limit that you have, the less likely you are that when you go on a trip or buy an expensive item or go to a really expensive dinner, your score's not going to drop. Because if all you have is a $1,000 credit card on your credit report, you go and spend $500, your score's going to tank because now you're at 50% utilization rate. For people who need to and they don't have a lot of credit, you could always do things like add yourself to someone else's credit card. A little bit risky. You want to make it someone that you know and trust, like your husband or your family, but you could always become an authorized user and adopt their credit history in your credit report as well. But the issue is low balances compared to your credit limits. And that's going to help your score. That's 1/3 of your credit score. And those are 65% of things that you could actually take care of yourself, right? You're responsible for how you pay your bills, and you're responsible for the balances that you keep. One thing about balances, credit card companies report once a month. Different days, but they have one day a month that they're going to report all the information to the credit bureaus. A credit report is nothing but a snapshot, just a picture in time. So if they report to the credit bureaus on the 15th of the month, but you pay your balance off on the 16th of the month, then your credit card balance is going to show that that whatever your balance was maxed out that next 30-day cycle until they re-report again. So if you're ever going to go buy a home, or you're ever going to make a major purchase, or you can tell your buyers this, you want to find out what day do they report, and then you want to make sure you pay off your balance or pay your balance down the day before they report. Because by the time that cycle goes around again, you probably started using the card again, and you're going to have a perpetual cycle of having balances on your credit report. And that will hurt your score. Yeah?
So can you elaborate a little bit more on what that low balance looks like? So say you have a $10,000 like credit limit, what's considered a low balance?
Typically, ideally, you want to have a $1 limit. You want to spend $1 on your card. In reality, yeah, $1. You don't want to do $0 because the credit scoring system is so screwed up that sometimes they confuse zero balances for closed accounts or for non-active accounts. So you want to keep it as close to $1 as possible.
The greater your capacity, the better you are.
Exactly.
That's what.
When you say revolving debt ratio, is that per month? Basically,
it's a
in
snapshot.
reality?
A credit report is nothing but a snapshot. So at the snapshot in time, whatever your balances are. Some people can't pay their balances down, so you want to be around 20-25% would be a nice range. But ideally, you want to be as close to $1 as possible. And you should also be careful sometimes also because a lot of people have American Express cards, right? And there's credit cards and there's charge cards. So credit cards you can carry a limit over every time. Some people have American Express, for example, where they pay off their entire balance at the end of the month. Or store credit cards like Bloomingdale's or Macy's. A lot of those credit cards don't have limits that report. So if you use those cards or you have those cards, the balance that you have shows as the limit that you have. So on an American Express charge card, it sometimes hurts your score, or a Bloomingdale's card, because it looks like you're maxed out all the time. Which is why it's so important to have more credit cards, only to have the availability of that revolving debt on your credit report. It's just at any given time. You know, it's a big problem, right? Especially when you deal with store credit cards also. The average age of your credit file is 15% of your credit score. Some people go out and they decide that they're going to buy something and they realize that they've been irresponsible for a while, and the first thing they do is, I'm going to close these credit cards, I'm not going to get in this situation again, and then I'm going to start fresh from there. But what you're doing when you do things like that is you actually destroy your credit. Because the age of the items on your credit report make up 15% of your score. That's a lot of reasons why more established, older people have better credit scores. It's not so much based upon their habits. A lot of it's based upon the fact that they had time to have a credit card for 10, 20, 30 years. It's like a marriage, you know. You might be the worst spouse in the entire world. But if you're married for 30 years, everyone assumes you're a great husband or a wife, right? No one knows what goes on behind closed doors. You're a great husband or a wife just by the fact that she stayed with you for 30 years. So it's kind of the same thing, right? As long as you have an account that lasts a long time, the credit bureaus and the score interprets it that you have done something right to have a long-standing, active, beneficial relationship, and that's going to really improve your credit score.